Hi, welcome to Rock Painting Workshops. Today I am going to share with you my last Easter rock, and it is one of the cross on Calvary Hill. And I'm going to show you my supplies, how I use them, as well as share a small Bible verse with you. And let's get started. So you can see the drawing that I have on my rock, and my colors are off to the left. The Bible verse that I chose is Matthew 28 verses 5 and 6. And the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, he has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay." And I'll just share with you how I'm going to create this rock. And this is one that I'll be sharing with my Sunday service. And I'll be leaving, I'm probably going to do about 2 or 3 of these, and I'm going to leave them outside the church for people to find. And I will write different Bible verses on the back. And first of all, we're just colouring in the rock, and I'm just laying down the base colour for you. And you can see I'm just doing one thin layer of colour all over, so that's all the colours, and I'm letting them dry. And it's really obvious with colours such as yellow and white that they're a little bit harder excuse me, a little bit harder to get the coverage that you want because of the way that they are mixed. Now the trick is to shake them up really well, but if you can even go back and have a look at the yellow where it started looking a little bit patchy, and as it's dried it's thinning and evening out. It's still not as opaque as I would like it, so obviously once it's dry I'm going to put a second coat on the rock. Okay, just, I mean to get all my colours here ready right beside me as I paint, but I'm forever looking. I always put one back where I don't think it should go, or something like that. It's all over the place. If only you could see off to my right, there's about 1,000 different paint pens. So this is my white one, and at the moment I'm using up my white paint pens from my Toolyart pack. And Toolyart just have a black and white pack, and that's in both sizes. So I've got a couple of spare whites that I'm going through at the moment and using those up. But for the edging, I'm just going to do the smushing. I'm not going to colour it all the way in. I just like to colour around it and then smush off to the edges and not leave a defined line where I'm going to colour in. I just like to give that sort of a blurred edge look to it. That's a technique I like. You might like it definite solid colouring in line, so you can get all the edges off neat and everything like that. If you are doing this kind of look like I do, then there's the darker colour is towards the image, and then it will be quite sparse and thin towards the outer edges. So just do it until it looks right. You just turn around, I can see what I've got here. This is the second layer. So I've got 2 layers on the rock there, and you can see where I'm at, and I'm going to start my shading. So I've got my water, I've got my paintbrush, and I've dipped my paintbrush into the water, and I have taken off any excess drips onto the microfiber, which is at the top of my screen, so you can't really see it. But you can see how I just tap onto the top of the paint pen, and I just pick up a little bit of the colour there, and I just sort of smush it around where more of the shadowy look will go. So you can see on the shawl that there's some shadows throwing, and it's all sort of gathered up, so there'll be a little bit of shadow throwing into the gathers. On the cross, I'm just sort of adding a little bit everywhere on the cross to give it a little bit of a wood grain look. And I think with the drop rocks that I create, I don't create a realistic, it's more clip arty, cartoony kind of look, and I just find that easier and a little bit quicker to do when I'm creating drop rocks. So I'm just adding some of the darker colour in around on the sun, so the cross is like it's showing some shadowing around the cross, just deepens that in. And you can see it's not too precise, I just sort of let it shade in like a watercolour, so it kind of just blends out a little bit. We'll add in some of the like grass and the stems of the flower, and so that's just scribbling up and down, up and down. I like to do that one and get all that grass growing. Now I'm drawing the knots in the wood. This is how I represent it. You can do it all sorts of different ways. Like I said, I create more of a cartoony look, clip arty look, so it's not very realistic at all. But here I'm going to throw out some sunshine rays and do the yellow. I might look at the orange as well. Yeah, I will. So you can see while it's wet, I'm just smushing it. So anytime the paint's still wet, you've got a chance of shading that out and getting a different look to it. So just keep doing it until you're happy with it. Have a look at the colours and then have a think about where you want to take it. Just take a quick photo. That's just so I can share it to the Facebook group. But what I want to do is I'm going to use my Posca Gold because I just want it to look a little bit richer than it does. And instead of going in with that solid black outline, I'm going to go around it with my gold. Now, you know, I usually just do it solid in solid black. So I'll just play around with it and see how I like it. I might hunt off for my other gold pen in a minute. Yeah, I've gone to my other gold pen. The other one, it hadn't been shaken up enough, and it would probably take me a couple of minutes because it's a metallic to get that back into like a really beautiful, perfect gold. So I'll settle with this one. I'm just giving it a bit of a shake, and I'll test it on Bert and get it flowing. But with the one that I went around the shawl with, it's just a little bit too watery, like not rich enough. So be careful with your metallic paints. A lot of people do use them like that and then say, oh, they're not very metallic or they don't like it. And the metallic paints just need a little bit more shaking up than regular pens because they have got that, the metallic, the silver base through it that needs to combine off with the colour. Okay, so I've just got my gold. This one's flowing a lot better. It's a lot richer in colour. I know I used it before, so I know it was shaken up a lot more than the other one. They're both the same colour, it's just that I hadn't used the other one for a while, so it needed a lot of shaking. And I just think the gold pen adds a lot of richness into it. So I'm not trying to hide the black, I'm trying to enhance the black. So I'm just going off to the side of it, I'm not trying to go on top of it. And I am going to use my black pen, and I'll just hide, well, I'm not hiding, I just want to add a little bit more of the yellow glow to the outer edge just to brighten it up. And just using my brush and just blending it down. So I haven't wet the brush again, it's slightly damp, and that's just not to make the yellow too solid, I'm just sort of blending it into each other. But that gives a brighter glow to the outside, what I've done with the yellow. Okay, and as I do the black, I'm not trying to hide the gold. So I'm getting the black and the gold to work with each other. So I'm just always slightly going a few mil off to the edges of it. So you can decide how you want that one. It's like I wanted the black for the depth, but I wanted that gold for the richness and the royal sort of gold finish to it. These are just the gathers into the scarf. Okay, we'll just come around to the back of the scarf. And the scarf, like, I saw this photo. I think I might have seen it on Pinterest or something else. It was in one of my Bible journal images. And to me, it represented, and why I used the Bible verse that I did, because it just represented that Jesus had risen. He was no longer here, and the scarf was just representing him on the cross, as he has been here, but now he's risen. So that's why I decided that this would be a good one for the rock, and that would be the Bible verse that I will use to go with it. Okay, just giving a little bit of definition to the sun. You can just add some dots and dashes off on the rays just to give it a bit of depth. Okay. Yeah, that's it. And then you can decide if you take your white pen and add some of the highlights into it as well, or you can leave it as is. But come and share your rocks over at Reef Rocks Free Workshops. I will have the pictures up there for you to see as well.